the dark in me, and you light up my life to be forever alive and free. Come on, hands up. Now you're living inside my heart, and you gave me a brand new start. We'll never be forced apart. That's right. Hope is rising, hearts are waking, love unfailing, it's never changing. Hear this sound, the chains are breaking now. Start up the party, 'cause you have rescued me. Now I'm living, can't stop dancing, 'cause you have set me free. Raise the music, start up the party. Come on, let's keep it going this morning. Here, I'm found in the grace of God, and I'm saved by a perfect love, forever where I belong. Here we go. Now, the rhythm of my feet is moving to the beat. Your spirit's alive in me. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Hope is rising, hearts are waking. It's love unfailing, it's never changing. Hear the sound, the chains are breaking now. Let's start up the party, 'cause you have rescued me. Now I'm living, can't stop dancing, 'cause you have set me free. Raise the music, let's start up the party. Yeah. Let's start up the party.
God chose to send Jesus to earth, taking upon the form of sinful man for the sole purpose of death, our salvation. Upon that rugged cross, he was hung.
Upon him was our shame, our pain, our hurt, our struggles, our burdens, and our sins.
Beaten, mocked, scorned, and pierced on his side, he declared, "It is finished." But on the third day, the inexpressible glory of heaven and fullness of divinity reached down into the depths of hell.
God reigns over all, and he is good. No one and nothing will be or can be better. O death, where is your sting? O grave, where is your victory?
Without Christ, we were dead, but through him, we are found, accepted, pursued, loved.
On that day, he rose from death to life. He turned mourning to dancing, beauty for ashes, shame into glory, graves into gardens.
He eradicates our convictions. He pursues and restores us, captive to free, broken to secure,
Depression to joy,
anxiety to peace,
guilt to righteousness,
enemies to heirs,
death to life.
And I'll search the world, but it couldn't fill me. And man's empty praise and treasures of faith are never enough. Then you came along and put me back together. And every desire is now satisfied here in your love. Oh, there's nothing that's better than you, and there's nothing that's better than you. Oh, there's nothing, and nothing is better than you. And I'm not afraid to show you my weakness.
worship together. If you're in the room with us right now, you can go ahead and have a seat. Happy Easter, everybody. Aren't you glad to be in church today? Man, we're so glad that you are here. My name's Brad. I'm one of the pastors here, and you picked a great opportunity to gather with us, and especially if you are online right now, we love you so much. Glad that you are along for the ride. As we get ready to dive into our time together, I want to invite you to take a moment and fill in a Connect card. You can grab one of those off the chair in front of you, or you can go to connectwithus.tv on your cell phone and let us know that you gathered with us today by leaving a little bit of information about yourself. And then at the end of our time together, I'll make sure to include information about what you do with that next so that we can continue to help you take some of those next steps. And here's what you need to know about those Connect cards is that for every single one of those that we receive this weekend, we're giving $10 per card towards an organization called Convoy of Hope. And that organization helps to feed people all over the world, but especially has resourced us to be able to feed people here in Journey City. So you have an opportunity to be generous today, and I'll tell you more about that in a few minutes as well. But just a reminder for those of you that are here in our physical location, please make sure to be wearing your mask properly at all times, that it's in keeping with our state's guidelines. We are so excited about Easter weekend around here. I know Pastor Mark is ready. Are y'all ready for Easter 2021? Come on, here we go. Happy Easter, everybody. Welcome to Real Church for Real People. Are you glad to be here this weekend? Awesome. Awesome. Let me take a moment, look into the camera, say a big hello to our Hockessin location. Newark, will you help me give it up for Hockessin, H-Town? Love you guys. And already hearing great reports about their first gathering today, and excited about what's happening for you in Hockessin and what's happening around our region. For all of you who are gathering with us online right now, a big hello to you as well. Welcome, welcome. It is an amazing weekend already, and I want to say thank you to all of you for coming. If you are here for the first time, especially whether you're in person at one of our physical locations or online, thank you for checking us out this Easter. I want to say a big thank you to all of you who are serving this weekend on our J-Team. 15 gatherings across our locations for Easter this year. And if you're new to the Journey, our J-Team is our big family of people who volunteer their time and energy, really the heart of our church, who serve. And so many of you are doing that. Will you help me give it up for the J-Team, everybody? Yeah, my heroes. Very proud of you, and especially some of our key areas that really worked very hard to make space this weekend. Journey Kids, love you, and thank you for making space for kids to experience God. And it's just a good weekend. So to start the Easter message today, I have kind of an unusual question. It's kind of a strange way to start an Easter message, but I want to ask you the question, has anyone offended you lately? So just if you're in a room, just show of hands. If you brought them with you, that's a little tense, but just raise your hand, look, stare straight ahead. If you're watching online, you might want to put an angry face emoji in the comments right now, just that's been offended. My wife, Susie, tells me that sometimes I can be too direct, so it may seem like a little bit of a direct question. She tells me, hey, you've got to learn to be more diplomatic at times, and I have learned in marriage, almost 24 years of marriage, it's important to be diplomatic. When your spouse says, how do I look in this? The answer is always fantastic. Then you work from there. But you start with fantastic. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Somebody had a rough morning, they're like, yes, I do. And I get that, but I really want to just be direct this Easter weekend, if that's okay, and ask you another question. Might be a little unusual, but has God ever offended you? So have you ever found faith or God or religion or maybe church a little bit offensive? Has it ever rubbed you the wrong way? You know,
if it has, you're not alone. I think a lot of us have found ourselves there at some point, if we're honest. I've been there in my life where there are things that I just feel like maybe God or faith are trying to mess around with some areas of my life that I don't really want messed around with. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Just like, I can manage that. God, I don't need you there. I'm good. And then if you've had this experience, sometimes religious people seem determined to be as offensive as possible. Have you noticed? And it can all just be confusing for many of us because we sense that we could use faith in our lives. If there's a higher power, if there's a God out there somewhere, we could use his help in our lives, in our relationships, our careers, our finances, maybe just our general kind of path in life. If God's out there, we could use some help. But what do we do when the faith we're looking for, when God rubs us the wrong way, when he comes across as a little bit offensive? Well, in the New Testament of the Bible, we have these 4 books that start us off that are the story of Jesus' life. They're biographies of his life, and they're like a breath of fresh air. We come out of the Old Testament with God's laws and all of the moments when people inevitably kind of fail to meet God's standard, and there's a lot going on there. And then we come into the New Testament, and we are introduced to Jesus. If you've never spent a lot of time around the Bible, those first 4 books of the Bible, great place to start if you want to learn about who Jesus is, because again, it's like a breath of fresh air. We see Jesus paying attention to ordinary, otherwise overlooked people. We see him confronting the religious hypocrites, the religious bullies of his time, and saying, not on my watch. You're not gonna manipulate people like that. You're not gonna look down your noses at people like that. We see Jesus forgiving those who've messed up, even in significant ways. He heals people who are sick. He even does miracles, unexplainable things. He just has this great power, and he's so attractional. People are just drawn to Jesus. He's life-giving. And what we notice right away is that there's a certain type of person who's especially drawn to Jesus. And it's not people of a certain age or race or background. It doesn't have anything to do with any of that. But it's people who are, in one way or another, just a little bit desperate. Maybe they have a physical illness and they've tried everything. Doctors have tried everything. They haven't found the cure, and they come to Jesus a little desperate. Maybe they're spiritually desperate, looking for hope, looking for help. And they come to Jesus and they're drawn to him. In fact, on one occasion, we read that a Gentile woman, so this would be a woman who was not part of the Jewish faith. She was a person who was not a part of the faith and the ethnic background that Jesus was born into and that he primarily focused his attention on while he was on earth. She was from the outside looking in, but she came to Jesus pleading, "Have mercy on me, O Lord, Son of David." And if you read a little bit further, you find out why she's in this place, why she comes to Jesus. She has a daughter who is deeply troubled, tormented by things that her mom just can't understand. And so mom, this woman, this person who comes to Jesus, she's a little bit desperate. And maybe we can relate. And chances are good we don't like that word. We don't want to use that word to describe ourselves, especially we don't use that word in relationships, right? Like, I'm just looking for that special someone. I'm a little desperate. You know, we don't say that. But maybe some of us can relate because we have areas of our lives, if we were to get honest about it, that we are deeply anxious about. Some area that feels out of control. Maybe we're worried about student loans that are just piling up, or a job situation, or a friendship that's gone south, or something going on in our family, a health condition that we're struggling through, or a marriage that's in trouble, and we feel like we could use a little mercy. We can relate to this person going, Jesus, man, if you're there, if any of this is real, can you help a brother out? Can you work in my life in some way? Maybe you came today, or you clicked on this today thinking, what do I have to lose? I mean, I've tried everything else. Let me give this faith thing a shot. And if you're online, you're like, I can always click the little X in the corner. Or if you're in person, you sat on the end of the row, you're like, I can make a quick exit if I need to. Like, I'm not sure about all of this, but let me give it a shot. And that's this woman. She comes to Jesus, and she climbs over her pride and her image and her reputation, the feeling of being on the outside, and she admits that she needs help. So how does he respond? Well, for many of us who are followers of Jesus, this is our moment where we're thinking, all right, let's get to the good stuff. She's got a need. Surely Jesus is going to meet her need. Jesus gave her no reply, not even a word. Say what, Jesus? say nothing, apparently. No reply, not even a word. Seems kind of impolite, doesn't it? Just be honest, like, Jesus, hey, what's going on? This seems like a good person. She's asking for your help. If you're dating someone right now, or you're engaged, or you're married, or you've ever dated, been engaged, been married, if you have a teenager, if you are a teenager, if you know any humans, chances are good you've experienced in some relationship in your life the silent treatment. Has anyone ever experienced the silent treatment? Just be honest. So I've been married, as I mentioned, for a long time, and it doesn't happen much anymore, but early in our marriage, Susie and I would get in a disagreement, and she would sometimes give me the silent treatment. Not for long, but it's nothing like it. And I mean, it's the worst. That sounded like it was a good thing. There's nothing, I mean, it's bad. And I would try to do the silent treatment back. I was like, you can do silent treatment, so can I, but I'm a verbal processor. So I would be like, I'm not speaking to you. And another thing, I just couldn't help myself. But if you've been there, it's kind of icy in the relationship. And guys, maybe you've had this experience where you thought the silent treatment was over, and so you're like, hey, how you doing? And you get nothing. No reply, not even a word. I mean, and you're like, oh. I wonder how many of us have ever felt like God is giving us the silent treatment. We're thinking, God, I could use a little help here. Do you see what I'm going through? We get no reply, not even a word. Or maybe we're in a season where we're going, I need answers. Why is this happening in my life? Or why is this happening to someone I care about? God, what is going on? And we get no reply, not even a word. And you know what often happens when God stops talking? Other people start talking for him. And that's what happens here. Then his disciples, maybe emboldened by Jesus' silent treatment, they urged him to send her away. Tell her to go away, they said. She is bothering us with all her begging. Nice, disciples. So Jesus, when you asked us to follow you, you said we were going to help people. And so we want to help people. So will you send this person away who is bothering us so we can get back to helping people? Because she's one of the people, and she's kind of keeping us from helping people. Disciples. And for some of us, we've had an experience like this. Maybe it's why we gave up on church at some point in our story. We thought, well, I like Jesus, I just don't dig the people who claim to represent him, because they don't seem to care about people. And let me just pause for a moment and say, if you're looking for a place, if you're like, maybe I'll give church a shot, and you're looking for a place that is full of perfect people, we are not that. I know we are not that, because I know there is at least one person who does not meet that criteria. But if you're looking for a community that won't be bothered by all your begging, that isn't intimidated by the fact that you don't always know the perfect thing to say, that you sometimes have more questions than you have answers, that you have imperfections and uncertainties and things that make you rough around the edges, well, we are that. Because that's what real church for real people is all about. We are clear about what matters to God, and we love people well, and we don't think we have to choose one or the other. This is a community of faith, yeah. That's real. And so let's recap in the story. We've got this woman. She comes to Jesus. She's a little desperate. Maybe she doesn't want to use that word, but she is. She asks for help. He gives her the silent treatment. The disciples try to send her away. It's a little impolite. Surely Jesus will fix this now, right? Then Jesus said to the woman, I was sent only to help God's lost sheep, the people of Israel. In other words, you are not my target audience. I was sent to help the Jewish people. You are not a Jewish person. You are a Gentile person. You're over here. You're in this category. So I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. Now, when I read this, I thought, Jesus, that's not very Christ-like. Jesus, you really need to ask yourself, what would you do? Because this is uncomfortable, isn't it? I mean, here's this woman, she comes pleading. Jesus says, no, I'm not sent to you. I'm sent to the lost sheep. I'm sent to this particular group of people. And for some of us, even just reading this brings up something in our lives. maybe a hurt or an area where we've held God at arm's length because we felt like in a moment we needed him, he wasn't there for us. And we feel like, God, you seem to be there for good people, better people, more qualified people, more religious people, more holy people, fill in the blank, whatever it is. But when I need you, it's like I don't meet your criteria, and we're carrying this around. And so now we've got the silent treatment, we've got disciples that want to send her away. We've got Jesus saying, you're not part of my target audience, so what happens next? Well, guess what? It gets worse. So if you weren't upset yet, get ready. But she came and worshiped him, pleading again, Lord, help me. So she persists, but Jesus responded, it isn't right to take food from the children and throw it to the dogs. Okay, Jesus, are you having a really bad day? You're supposed to be nice. I brought a friend for Easter, Jesus. You were supposed to, I told them you were nice. I mean, if Jesus' first response was impolite, and if his second response was awkward, can we all just agree on the surface at least? This is offensive. Our family has a dog, and I never intended it to happen. It's not that I'm not a dog person, I don't have anything against dogs. I just felt like kids were enough. You know, any parents, it's like, we've got kids. Why would we add to that equation? It's perfect the way it is. But my daughter, our oldest kid, asked for a dog for 9 years. I'm a strong dad. 9 years she asked, and every time I was like, no, we do not need a dog. And then one day, she called Susie and I into a room in our house, and she had created a slideshow presentation on her Chromebook. And she said, Dad, I know your answer, but I just want to present some important information for our family. Slide 1, research shows that families that own a dog tend to be healthier. Dad, you do want our family to be healthy, don't you? I know you do, Dad. Slide 2, dogs are really helpful for kids who have special needs. So we have a son who has special needs. She said, honestly, it's not me who wants a dog. It's my brother who needs a dog. Dad, don't you want Connor to have everything he needs? And I knew by slide 3, like, this is over, I lost. We're getting a dog. So we have a dog. Her name is Peggy. And you can tell all the dog people are like, aww. And all the non-dog people are like, it's a dog. And I get that. I was you. I understand. But this is Peggy, and I know Peggy is the name of someone's aunt, not their dog, but it's the name she came with, and it stuck. And Peggy has changed me. I was not a dog person before. Now, I'll be honest, I'm still not a your dog person. Your dog's okay. My dog's amazing. And she's a member of our family now. But we still have some ground rules for Peggy, right? There's still a distinction. Like, Peggy does not sit at the table in a chair with us and eat lasagna for dinner with us, pass the salt. That doesn't happen. At least not when I'm home to supervise. And if our kids need to eat, we don't say, hey, that's great, but let's make sure Peggy's fed first. No, kids eat first, dog eats second. Dad eats third is usually how that works, And that's this woman, she comes to Jesus, and he says, hey, it isn't right to take food from the children, from the family, from the Jewish people, and then throw it to the dogs, which was a way in his time of people referring to the Gentiles, and Jesus never called people that, and yet in this moment, he pushes her buttons because he knows how she sees herself. And she has a choice to make, and all of us do, and this is why Easter's a little bit offensive. Because if you lean into Jesus for long enough, there will come a moment where he will say, hey, I know you want to talk about this, but I want to talk about that. You got this area of your life you don't want anybody else to see. You think you can manage on your own. And I actually want to get involved there. I want to speak into that relationship. I want to deal with that deep insecurity. I want to tackle that shame from your past. One of the things that really defines our church, if you're new to the journey, is we are a church of small groups. So we call them J groups, very simple. We have groups of people who get together during the week, just hang out together, in person, online, laugh together, learn together, talk about the weekend message together, play sports together, cook together, serve in the community together, fill in the blank. We have over 100 of them meeting this spring in all kinds of different places. And here's one of the things that happens in our groups. If you've been in a group any length of time, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. At first, for the first few weeks, everything kind of stays on the surface, which is normal. It's very human. You don't want to show up week one to some people you don't know or don't know well and say, hey, I'm Mark, I have a big issue in my life, right? So everything kind of stays on the surface. Like, hey, how about that weather? I know, partly cloudy, pass the chips and salsa. It's just very, it's very normal. Small talk, it's good. We laugh together, it's a good time. It's a little bit, everybody's kind of trying to figure it all out. And then eventually what happens is someone decides to go one step further and get a little bit real and take off the mask. Not a physical mask, but the mask all of us have been wearing, many of us for our entire lives, that hides who we really are, what we really struggle with, the questions we really have, and the stuff in our lives that we're not proud of. And someone goes, I've really been struggling with fill in the blank, or I'm not sure how to feel about fill in the blank, or this thing happened to me in middle school that's had an effect in my life. And what happens is other people start going, oh, you have things in your life? Me too. And it's a beautiful thing because people begin to get real. It's a beautiful thing. And we even think it's a necessary thing because here's what happens for all of us. Eventually, we either get real or we get offended. That's the process. And it's true of faith. That's why Jesus is so life-giving and so attractional when you read about him. People are drawn to him. People you wouldn't expect. People that have ignored religion for their entire lives, that have done all kinds of things that you would think would disqualify them from knowing Jesus, having a relationship with God. They flock to Jesus. I mean, they're so drawn to him, and he embraces them. He welcomes them into his world. They're not just acquaintances, they're his friends. That's one of the big accusations against Jesus by religious people. It's, hey, you are a friend of sinners. What's up with that? And Jesus is like, I know, right? It's great, isn't it? And he just welcomes them into his world, and they're so drawn to him. But at the same time, you read a little bit closer, you look at Jesus' life, and there are other people, it doesn't seem to make any sense at first, but there are other people who react exactly the opposite. They're repelled by Jesus. They are angry at Jesus. They walk away from Jesus. They feel like they don't need Jesus. What makes the difference? It's not age, it's not religious background, it's not race, it's not net worth, it's not any of that. Here's what makes the difference. The people who are drawn to Jesus are the people who are willing to get real and take that mask off. Again, not a physical mask, a spiritual one they've been wearing to cover up who they really are, how they really see themselves, and what they really need. And those people are willing to go, yeah, Jesus, you're right. I do need you. Yeah, Jesus, I do have issues. Yeah, Jesus, I have these problems that only you can solve. Those people are drawn to him. But the people who want to pretend that their way of life is working and that they don't really need Jesus and that Jesus is a nice little add-on accessory once or twice a year to make themselves feel better, those people eventually always get offended. Told you I was going to be direct this Easter. Why? Because Jesus will push our buttons, not to offend us, but to get us to a place where we get real about what we really need so he can help us. Because eventually we either get real or we get offended. So which are you getting? Are you getting more and more real with God? I really do need you, Lord. Or are you getting more and more, I don't know. That's nice and all, but I don't really need that. This woman, watch how she responds. So she's gotten the silent treatment. She overheard the disciples complaining about her. She's been taken aback by Jesus' words. Her pride's got to be wounded. She's feeling vulnerable. She's feeling hurt. But her need is still there. So Jesus says, it's not right to take food from the children, from the family, cast it aside, throw it to the people who are not part of the family, throw it to the dogs. And she replied, well, that's true, Lord, that's an excellent point. But even dogs are allowed to eat the scraps that fall beneath their master's table. I love that. Because you know what she's saying? She's saying, Jesus, I'm not gonna argue with you. I'm just not going away. I'm gonna keep leaning into you. See, the deal is, Jesus, I need you. Like if my way was gonna work, it would have by now, but it's not working, and that's why I'm here. So I'm just gonna keep leaning in. I refuse to be offended. Jesus, whatever you wanna say to me, whatever you need to deal with in my life, whatever you want to address, I'm an open book. I'm just taking the mask off. I'm just getting real. I don't understand why you just said that, but you know what? It makes me think, man, I don't like it, but even the dogs kind of come under the table and they get a little scrap of food, and Jesus, you are not gonna get me to go away. I need you. So our dog Peggy is a rescue dog. What that means is she was in a shelter. They call them high kill shelters in another state where she was likely to be put down, but then she was rescued and we adopted her. And I like that about her because I am a rescue human. This is my story. I was far from God. And it's not a religion story, it's a rescue story. I don't know about you, but I didn't need another religion. They're a dime a dozen. I needed to be rescued. My way of doing life wasn't working, and at 15 years old, I came to a place where I gave my life to Jesus. And I said, Jesus, I don't understand everything about you. I don't know if I'm even capable of doing a third of the stuff that you ask people who follow you to do, but I need you. Please save me. I want to know you. I want to learn about you. Will you be leader and Lord of my life? And that night, I was rescued from a high kill shelter. I was rescued from a path that leads to death. And I was adopted into the family of God. Just like this person who comes to Jesus, I didn't meet the religious criteria, but he rescued me and he brought me into his family. So whenever Jesus has tough words for me, which he does frequently, I refuse to be offended because I'm thinking, how can I be offended by the one who gave his life to rescue me and then adopt me into God's family? God, whatever you need to deal with in my life, deal with it. I just want to know you. And maybe you are hesitant to go all in with Jesus this Easter because you feel like, well, that means admitting that I need to be rescued. Some of you, even right now in the room, Newark, Hockessin, watching online, you're thinking, I get it. There are some people, I know some people who need to be rescued. You know what I mean? Like they need it. But me, you're thinking, I'm a good person. Are you saying I need to be rescued even if I'm a good person? I'm saying you need to be rescued, especially if you're a good person. Because there's no lie as damaging as the one that you could somehow earn your way to a God who gave his son to save you. And if that's you today, if you're like, I think I need Jesus in my life, then here's some good news from his own mouth. This is Jesus speaking. And he says, if you want to know how God feels about you, this is how God loved the world. He gave his one and only son so that everyone, regardless of background or resume or age or race or story, everyone who believes in him will not perish. They don't have to stay in that high kill shelter. They don't have to spend eternity separated from him. They can have eternal, real, new, lasting life. God sent his son into the world not to judge the world. It's not why he came. He didn't come to offend us, but he came to save the world. And there is no judgment. But you don't know what I've done. No judgment. You don't know where I've been. No judgment against anyone who believes in him. But anyone who does not believe in him has already been judged, not because they have too many things for God to forgive, but because they don't believe in God's one and only son. God sent a rescuer, and some people say, no thanks, I'll stay in the shelter. Don't need you, don't need a family. I'll take my chances. Why would anyone do that? Well, the judgment is based on this fact. Some of us have heard something about God that isn't true. You have heard that God rates us on a scale, and at a certain point on the scale, we have sinned too much for him to love us. And so we need to just keep our lives kind of below that place on the scale. Not true. Not true. The judgment is based on this fact. Watch this. God's light came into the world, but people loved the darkness more than the light. So Jesus came, but people said, I'll stay in the shelter. For their actions were evil. All who do evil hate the light and refuse to go near it. Why? Why would anyone do that? Why do people reject Jesus? One reason, for fear their sins will be exposed. Did you catch that? Their pride is so great, they don't want to get real. That's the only reason anyone ever misses out on what Jesus came to do. Because eventually all of us either get real or we get offended. Happens to all of us at some point in our lives. You never stay spiritually neutral for the long term. I've watched this even over the past year with everything that's happened in our world, with COVID and all the uncertainty and all the disruption. People who were growing in their faith before all that began have grown stronger. People who were kind of drifting have drifted further. Because you and I cannot stay neutral forever. You either get real or you end up getting offended. And this woman who came to Jesus decides to get real. So she gets rescued. Dear woman, Jesus said to her, you made it through what seemed like the silent treatment and you didn't get offended. You made it through religious people who tried to write you off and you didn't get offended. You made it through me poking and prodding at the areas of your life you'd rather not address and deal with, and you didn't get offended. So let me tell you how I've always felt about you. Dear woman, Jesus said to her, your faith is greater than your pride. Your request is granted. That's how he always felt about her. Dear, precious, valuable, worth dying for. See, Jesus just knows this about you, that you'll only see how dear you are to him when you see how desperate you are without him. So I guess you could say for some people, Easter's kind of offensive. A man dies on a cross to take our place for our sins. That's a lot. He rises again from the dead. And he calls all of us who believe in him to trust our whole lives to him and to follow him boldly. And that's a lot. And whenever it rubs us the wrong way, we have a choice to make. Which will be greater, our faith or our pride? So maybe you're here today, maybe you're watching today, and church or faith have rubbed you the wrong way in the past, and you would say, hey, this is great, but I'm not ready to believe any of this yet. That's fine. I'm not here to twist your arm. I don't want to talk you into it. If I could talk you into it, somebody can talk you out of it. But I will say this. Let me challenge you right now. I would encourage you to come back for the next few weeks. Give church, give this a few weeks, because you owe it to yourself at least once in your life to pursue what a real life-giving relationship with God could look like for you. And I promise you, it's different than what you've seen of religion in the past. But maybe there are some of you right now that you realize in this moment, man, I'm just like this person who came to Jesus. I don't like the word, but I'm a little bit desperate. What do I have to lose? I need Jesus in my life. Whether you're a follower of Jesus who's drifted or you're somebody who's never yet begun a real relationship with God, let me give you some very good news. When you find Jesus, you will find new life. You will find hope. You will find freedom. You will find peace. You'll find permission to finally take off the spiritual mask you've been wearing and get honest with God and honest with other people, and you'll begin to grow in ways you never dreamed possible. And if you need Jesus, good news, today can be your day.
The dead surrender to the mighty cross of Jesus Christ. The earth would shake beneath the weight of darkened skies. On his brow, a crown of sorrow, for a king whose weakness was our strength. No word he spoke, his love was shown for all to see. No, the cross of Jesus Christ is the reason I'm alive, for his blood has set me free. It will never lose its power for me. He'll never lose its power. Now the dawn of resurrection floods the night as hope prevails to shine. Salvation waits, our chains to break, and we rise. Know the cross of Jesus Christ is the reason I'm alive, for his blood has set me free. It will never lose its power for me. Christ my
Maybe you find yourself today in that place that this woman who came to Jesus found herself in, where your way of doing life without God and without God's help just isn't working. Or maybe you've even kept God in a little compartment. Like, I need him for this, but I'm gonna keep this area of my life and separate it out, and it's just not working. And maybe you are, if you were to be honest, you don't like the word, I get it, neither do I, but maybe spiritually speaking, you're a little bit desperate. Well, the good news is you are who Jesus came for. You're who Jesus died for. You're dear to him. But you'll only see how dear you really are to him when you admit how desperate you've been without him. And in that moment, you can begin a real relationship with God. When you believe in your heart and you confess, you declare with your mouth that he is leader and Lord of your life. And this is your opportunity to do that. If you want to begin a real relationship with God, right where you are, in our physical rooms right now, online, this is your moment. So if that's you, block out every distraction, everything that would compete for your attention. Let's all do that. Focus entirely on God. And if you need Jesus in your life, whisper out a prayer of faith, something like this. You can use my words if it helps you. Pray with faith in your heart. Jesus, today I need you. I believe in you. I believe you died to forgive me. I need to be rescued. Save me today. You are leader and Lord of my life from this moment forward. And if that's you, while everyone around you stays focused on God, if you would say, I want to be included in that prayer, I'm taking that step. If you're in the room in Newark and Hokesson, I want you to do something very simple. I'm not going to ask you to come to the front or do anything else, but just lift a hand and hold it up high. It's a simple thing that just says, hey, that's me. I need Jesus in my life, and today I'm putting him in the center of my life. I'm trusting him. If you're watching online, type the word faith in the comments. Let us know that you're taking this step. We're celebrating that with you. And then I wonder, all of us, if we would stand together and let's open up our hearts big to God. Let's worship Jesus together one more time. Gathering, you can go ahead and have a seat for just a moment. We're going to close out here in just 2 minutes, but before we do that, I want to invite you to fill out a Connect card that I mentioned at the beginning of our time together. Grab it off the chair in front of you, or go to connectwithus.tv on your cell phone. Fill in a little bit of information about yourself, and especially if you put your faith in Jesus a moment ago, please let us know on that Connect card. In fact, Journey, can we celebrate people who put their faith in Jesus today? People that are going to heaven now. So incredible. We're so proud of you. Take that Connect card out to Journey Central, right outside these main auditorium doors. And we've got a new Believer's Bible, one that'll help you take some next steps in your relationship with God.
Also, if you're new to the Journey or a guest with us, take that card to Journey Central as well. And we've got a gift for you, and we want you to feel welcomed. Also, for every one of those Connect cards that we receive, don't forget that $10 per card is going towards an organization called Convoy of Hope that helps us partner and feed people all throughout Journey City. As I was thinking about that, I was thinking about how many of us are getting ready and looking forward to an Easter dinner following this gathering sometime this afternoon. But unfortunately for many people in our region, that's not possible for them to have an Easter dinner. They either can't afford food or they don't have access to it. But we've decided as a church that we want to be part of the solution to that problem. We want to help feed people in our region. And so through your generosity in their Easter offering and through us partnering through our Easter Hope Box initiative, Journey, we have been able to feed over 1,000 families in our region in the middle of this season. It's incredible to see what God is doing through your generosity in the Easter offering, and we want to be part of the solution. We want to feed people both physically and spiritually. And if you'd like to give this weekend, if you'd like to give here today, be generous back to what matters to God. I want to invite you to use the ways on the screens right now, and you can grab your cell phone, text GIVETJ to 94,000, and every opportunity that you have to give makes a difference. If you still want to give in the Easter offering, there is still time. You can do that by selecting Easter offering, or if you're using a giving envelope at one of our Connect boxes, just check expansion and we'll make sure that it goes towards the Easter offering. Thank you so much for your generosity. And as we get ready to leave this gathering, I know I'm excited about not just what happened over the course of the last 60 minutes, but what God's gonna do starting next weekend. We're kicking off a brand new series around here that we're so excited about. You heard Pastor Mark tease it a moment ago. It's called What Do You Have to Lose? Like, what do you have to lose giving it a shot to come to church for a couple of weeks? In fact, I wanna encourage you to come to church for 3 weeks. Come next weekend, the following, and the following. 3 weeks, I think that can change your life forever. I think it can change your perspective, your mindset. I think what we're gonna talk about over the next several weeks is gonna help you. And man, I just wanna encourage you, come gather with us for a few weeks. It'll be a joy to have you, and I want you to be a part of it. Our ushers are coming down towards the front. They're gonna dismiss you by row, starting from the front. We love you so much. We hope you have a happy Easter and enjoy the journey, everybody.